Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Boozy Botanical Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Angelique.
And I'm Holly.
We are back with another Boozy Tuesday, everybody.
We're
Hello,
back.
hello.
Hello. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you all had a great Halloween.
Yes. Oh, Holly, how was your Halloween?
It was pretty good. It's funny. Okay, so
Oh, God. Sounds like it went great.
No,
it was pretty good.
Well, okay, it's like, I don't want to take up a whole, make a whole story about this, but so we went to go see, so we moved to Florida. First of all, we don't really have any friends. So I was like, I'm like, babe, okay, so there's like a little downtown area. I'm like, we could go to a bar, but like, let's just go see a scary movie. So let's go see that new Halloween movie.
Oh, so Halloween Kills?
Yeah, so we saw that. And it's not that good. Like,
I've heard it's not the greatest of all the Halloweens.
Yeah. So we come home. We had a great time though. Like we got drinks beforehand. Me and my husband Tyson, and then we saw the movie. So we came back and it was only like maybe 8 or something.
Was this on actual Halloween day?
Yes. So the day we're recording this is November 1st, and yesterday was Halloween.
Oh yeah, it's coming out tomorrow.
For some context for those listening, and then we came home and we're like, let's see a good scary movie. And me and Tyson, we just weren't really in the mood for the same things. So we're looking on.
When that happens.
I know, because scary movies can be I don't know how to describe it.
It's a spectrum.
Yes, totally. Yeah. And I'm like, I want something like psychological thriller or just something like fun scary. And he's like, I don't want anything too scary.
I said fun scary. I said fun and spooky to Josh. What does that mean?
Well, because with Halloween Kills, it was very much gore, and to me, not a lot of suspense. That. Yeah, so I'm like, no, let's watch something more suspense. Right. Oh my God, dude. So like I said, we couldn't decide on what each other wanted to watch, and then the movie Midsummer. I think that's what you say it.
Have you not seen Midsummer before?
No.
Oh God, Holly! I wish you told me. I would have stopped you.
Dude, this was the complete opposite of what we were looking for. He's like, a lot of people were talking about it. Like, let's just watch it. And I'm like,
oh, he hadn't seen it either.
So
it's not like he was like, babe, I know this is good.
No, we were both like, okay, we can't decide. Let's find some common ground in this marriage and pick a movie.
Before we divorce, let's figure out which horror film we're going to watch tonight.
Exactly. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'm like, and literally we were looking at the years that all the movies came out. I'm like, 2019, fine. Let's do it. Still pretty new.
Value will be high.
Yes.
Oh. Have you seen Hereditary?
No.
It's the same director.
Is it good or is that scary too? Or
it's good.
Say gross.
Both of his films are gory, if I'm not mistaken, but Hereditary is actually dark and creepy and very the trope of you're in a creepy house sort of thing. Midsummer is the opposite. You saw how bright it is.
Oh, God,
which I thought that was kind of you feel unsettled because it's it's a horror film, but why is it so bright?
Yes.
Which I thought as a filmmaking perspective, that was really fascinating.
Yeah.
But I remember I saw it in theaters. I remember telling Josh, I was like, there's just a point where enough is enough. And it felt like blood for the sake of blood towards the end. Personally, I thought it was well done, but I thought it got to be a little much after a while.
And you know what? We didn't realize how long this movie was.
Freaking long, Holly. I wish you texted me. It's so long.
I should have, dude. So we were at I think an hour and a half into it, and
it's not done.
There's an hour left, and we shut it off, and we started watching Awkward.
Nora from Queens.
Yeah.
Is it good? I haven't seen the show yet.
Oh, dude, I love that show.
I love her.
I think you'd love it. You start in season 1 and just keep watching it. So I'm
watch it on Hulu.
What do we watch it on? No, it's on Comedy Central, I think.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll get the app. So you didn't get to the end of Midsummer.
No.
Oh, so you didn't get to the part where I was like, enough is enough. It's
exactly.
Spoiler alert, anyone that hasn't seen Midsummer, skip this now. Okay, so there's a point when things start to unravel in the story, and it's just people that are going, people are going missing and stuff. Did you get to that point? Like people are disappearing.
I don't know.
Maybe you didn't get there yet. But you know how
It
there's
was
like
literally after the old couple died, like at like 30 minutes after that.
The off the cliff. That was rough.
That was
Yeah. So
fucking
no one.
terrible.
So after that, like people that are part of like the young college ages starting to travel start just disappearing. And there's that like couple, I think they were British, but looked they had darker skin.
Yep.
They start to disappear, and that pretty much towards the end, you start to see everyone, and it's very like ritualistic, and like they're strung up. One guy's strung up like a cow, all shredded, but it's still like you can see his lungs, and his lungs are still breathing, and it's like, and one guy, I think like all his limbs get broken, and then like most of them get burnt in a fire, like a ritual fire, and then the girl's boyfriend,
the shitty boyfriend,
the asshole, so he. A girl, like much like in Twilight, when you like imprint on one girl, part of like the colony, or
the redhead girl,
the one that's like, I want him. She starts like tries to like not poison his drink. I think she takes like pubes and puts it in his drink because it's meant to like get him to want you. It's pubes or something else gross. I don't remember. And pretty much like there's kind of like a ritualistic sort of I don't know if it's rape or not, but like
trigger warning.
Sorry guys, trigger warning. It's like this weird ritualistic, like he gets put into this room and she starts to like have sex with him, but all the women in the group, I guess, are like around them doing a communal like they're all naked and like breathe moaning together.
I was telling Tyson, I'm like, who comes up with this? Like,
I mean, I feel
like a real thing. Like, I don't know.
Well, Midsummer and the celebrations of Midsummer is a real thing, but I remember when this movie came out, I think there was some controversy because it's not like this, of course. This is like a horrific sort of look on it. Yeah, it's it gets to be a bit much after a while, but I will say, if nothing else, just go on Google and look at the pictures of the flower dress because that is gorgeous. Or like watch the scene where she comes out with the flower dress because that was just amazing costuming. Aww. Which, by the way, guys, fun fact: if you live in the LA area, or if you're coming to visit, the Academy Museum has just opened within the last few months.
How cool!
Holly, when you come back into town, you have to go. It's like really, I cried. It's like really impressive. And if you like Studio Ghibli and like all the like Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away, and everything, they have a whole upstairs section with Murakami and Studio Ghibli stuff. It's really cool. It's like a temporary exhibition. But my point being, if you guys are into costuming, there's a whole room for costumes, and the big dress from Midsummer is in the room.
Nice.
It's really cool.
Oh,
so I'm sure you've seen images of like the flowery whatever. I feel sorry for you. I would have told you to watch Trick or Treat. Have you seen Trick or Treat?
No, but I heard that was good too. So I don't know why. Like
that one's short.
Anyways, that say I wasn't trying to take up too much time.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
It was a creepy one, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Well, Holly, what are you drinking? Let's talk.
Oh yes, absolutely. Okay, so I am drinking it's pineapple juice with pina colada and vodka. So it's pretty good. Pretty like
amazing.
Islandy. Here's some ASMR. Yes, so good.
I love that. I'm lame today, guys. I'm trying to recover from the Halloween weekend. we had fun for sure, and I'm just drinking a liquid IV because I feel dead. So
that's totally fine.
But I was like, rent's due today. I'm doing great. But oh my gosh, just really quick, going off of movies. What did we watch yesterday? Because what we did for Halloween, we sort of like, I celebrated with friends on Saturday, which was the 30th. And then I just hung out with Josh yesterday. And he had never been to the TCL Chinese Theater off of Hollywood, the IMAX theater. Have you been?
I haven't been inside.
It's so beautiful. I had only been for the first time a few weeks ago because a friend was visiting and they wanted to go. And it's so gorgeous. Like the whole ceiling is like painted and everything.
Love.
So I went to go see James Bond with a friend. Josh was supposed to go, but he canceled last minute because of work. So I tried to get a refund. And when I tried to get a refund, it ended up refunding me both tickets.
Oh, wow.
But I was already in and I was like, ooh. So I got Fandango credit. So we went on a date yesterday to make up for it. And so we went to see Dune.
Oh, how was
Yeah.
it?
I really liked it. I acknowledged some of the issues with it, but I
There are
thought personally, like, a
issues.
lot it's, like, socially, there's some issues, like,
Mm,
people are complaining that it's a very white savior sort of film, and it's based on a
interesting.
book, and the writer of the book, he, um, pulled and leaned heavily on on Islam and a lot of, like, Muslim, traditions
Okay.
and things, and he created language 'cause it's set in the year, like, 10191, like, very,
Oh,
very in the
wow.
future, and he, like, pulls from Arabic to create new languages and stuff like that, and
Wow.
so yeah, and that there's a whole, like, jihad, like, holy war sort of thing, but I guess and I was reading an article from the Post, I think the filmmakers wanted to steer away from some of the verbiage that the and words that the writer used because they felt like it wasn't sensitive to religion and this and, like, different things today, and they felt like it like, I don't know for sure, it was an opinion piece, but
Yeah, yeah.
there's just a lot of people feeling like it looks like one of those things where it's like, "Oh, if you're a brown character, you're oppressed, and if you're a white character, you're the oppressor," and then now there's
Um,
one really pretty Timothée Chalamet white
yeah.
savior character that's gonna save everybody, but then it was tough because I was telling Josh, I was like, "I feel like a lot of fantasy and sci-fi stories kind of are trying to break away from the oppressor, like Star
Yeah.
Wars and things," but but that aside, like, controversy aside, I really enjoyed it. I thought it's a
Nice.
setup movie, so just when you watch
Oh,
it, just
cool. Okay.
notice it's gorgeously done, like, special effects was
Nice.
15 out of 10. It was really well made, Holly.
Plus our
I
boy Jason Momoa is in it.
Oh my god, the King and Thurium was in it, guys, and let me tell you, he did not disappoint. We got out of the theater, and I told Josh, I was like, "Literally the best part of the movie was any scene he was in."
He's
And
like,
Josh
"No
was like,
way."
"Can you believe he didn't take off his shirt once?" And I was like, "That's what I'm saying."
Like, when he, like, was reading for the part, he's like, "I will not take my shirt off. That's my one thing
I
that
will
I must
not be
insist."
used and abused any
Yeah.
longer.
Mhm.
It was really funny because, Josh and we love to create, like, little, like, scenes and parody and stuff of, like, what we think would have happened, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Just imagine they're on set," and, like, the director's like, "Okay, rolling, roll sound, action," and Jason's just like starts, like, taking off his shirt, and they're like, "Cut, cut, Jason, no!" Not again. There's
"No,
no
Jason, wrong movie."
and he's like, "Oh, okay, let's reset, reset, and still rolling, okay, and action." No!
No! Jason, no!
Get it together, Jason.
Oh my god. It makes him sound like he's a dummy. He's just like this, like,
Yeah.
meathead, like
Okay. I was telling Josh, I was like, hotness aside, his acting was really good, I
Oh,
thought, way
yeah,
better than, like
totally.
I've always thought he was a good actor, but it was, like, really good, this
That's so
movie.
cool.
But yes, when you watch it, just note that it's based on a book and they're trying to do multiple films, like, it even says
Nice.
Dune Part 1 when it
Oh,
comes
cool.
up. So
Well, that's
they
good to know.
already yeah, so just expect it to be a lot of setting up the world
Got
for the second film, but I
it.
thought it was
Okay.
really good, I liked it.
Nice.
But, yeah, but you guys, movies aside, Halloween aside, Holly, give us your real update of the week that is
Oh,
planting
yes.
related because 'cause I'm so
Yes.
excited.
I'm excited because I have a planty update. I feel like the last few episodes, I haven't really had planty updates, but oh my
Yeah.
gosh, do I have one
It's
for
one for the
you.
books.
Yes. So I randomly stopped in at, like, probably my favorite local nursery, by my house, and
Okay.
I walk in and, like, there is this giant Adansonii, and, like, giant, like, the leaves are, like,
A
bigger than
foot?
my face, yeah, at least a foot, like,
Wow.
so big, it's, like, so wide, so many fenestrations. Oh, did I say it was the Monstera Adansonii?
You did. I saw it and was like, "Is that an Escalito? Like, this is crazy."
Maybe. So, I think it's kinda hard with Adansonii because there's so many crosses and variations and, like, but, for now, I've just been calling it an Adansonii.
Yeah.
Um, and
So yeah,
dude,
set the scene.
yes, so I walk in, it's pretty busy. I believe this was on a Friday or a Saturday.
Okay.
I think it was Saturday.
You
And
posted a picture on Saturday on your story.
yes. So there's lots of people, and I haven't been at this place in a while. I was like, it's called Garden Arts. I'm like, I haven't been to Garden Arts in so long. I'm like, we were grabbing lunch around the corner. I'm like, Tyson, let me just run in. Like, let me just run in.
Quick
He's like,
little stop.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll wait in the car. And I texted him. I was like, hey, I found a wish list plant for a really good deal. And he's like, awesome, go for it. And I'm like, oh, I married you. No, I'm just kidding. But
you walk in and do you see it right away? Did you have to look around a bit?
So when you walk into the nursery, it kind of has like a little like walkway that sort of curves. Okay. And so the first little like to my left, like there it was. And this particular plant, it's in what I think is like a 6-inch pot. It's really not that big, but it is so wide. And in fact, I was going to measure it, but like the wingspan is like 5 feet.
It's wow.
Yes, it's a little wide for my liking. I mean, if I could like sculpt the perfect plant, it would be a little bit more condensed just because, whatever. But so it's just very, very wide. Oh, thanks, babe. Look at that.
Starbucks delivery.
How awesome you are.
Oh, Dunkin' delivery. My
Tyson just brought me a tea.
That's our product placement, guys. Dunkin' Donuts. Shout out.
Exactly. Okay, sorry. So, yes. So I wanted to measure it, but it's very wide. So just imagine like so long. So I look at the price and I see $60.
You're lying.
I was like,
what?
I'm like, that's coming home with me.
Oh my God. Was anyone else looking at it?
Well, that's the reason why I said it was a busy, because I was so shocked that nobody really like cared. I mean, maybe it sort of blended into them because I got the vibe of a lot of new sort of plant people because they were like asking like, what is this plant? What is that plant? Sort of thing.
Okay. Noobs.
Newbies. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, I picked it up and like I said, it's very wide. I was like walking through this tiny nursery and it's like bumping into people. They're like, wow, what a cool plant. And like, and so I'm talking to the girl who's checking me out and she's like, yeah, I got one of these too. It's actually from the owner's personal collection. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, he has one that he grows and he's propagated a few, little pieces. And she's like, yeah, I got one too. She's like, I was like, well, how long has it been sitting here? Because I'm like, dude, like, what the heck? She's like, about a week.
Like, nobody bought it.
No one got it. And so I only know that there were 2. So who knows? But yeah, it's so pretty. So I really want to grow it in good conditions for it. It is very large. Like I don't even know where I could actually grow it inside. Like, I mean, probably in the corner here in my office. But again, it's just not enough light or humidity.
Right.
I think
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Was the mother plant grown outdoors?
Yes.
Like in the ground?
And that's what I asked her. I'm like, so how is it growing? Like, I'm trying to get a feel for like, can I grow this thing indoors? And she said, it's in shade, but outside. She's like, that's why I think why the wingspan, as I call it, is so wide and why the leaves are so big, because it is the perfect filtered light, but at the same time, it's in the shade. So I imagine it's like kind of reaching just a little bit.
Right.
So behind my house, like past our fence, we have like the pond and everything.
Right.
Lots of shade. So I'm thinking of repotting it, getting a moss pole, and growing it in the shade. I don't want to put it in the ground necessarily, just in case like we ever move and I want to like, move it.
Yeah.
So that is my update. I'll keep you guys, in the loop of like how I repot it and whatnot. Yeah. It's still in the house, like in the entryway. So I've been looking at it and just like, oh, I love you.
That's amazing. That price is crazy.
Oh, also, I know.
Oh, go ahead.
Also, it does have like 4 huge blooms on it that look very much like the deliciosa, like the edible blooms.
Oh, cool.
The girl at the nursery had mentioned that. She's like, apparently they're edible, but just Google because I don't know if the life cycle of it now. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to eat it. But it's cool to see, cool to know. And
right, because none of my Monstera or anything have ever bloomed. So it's like, Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But again, like $60. So
that's amazing.
One other thing I'll mention is when I was at the Aeroid show a couple months ago, I saw some Escalitos or Adansonii, as we're calling them, huge, like not as big as mine. They probably had 3 leaves, but still very sizable leaves.
Yeah.
And they were like almost $200, like well
so
over 100.
Wow.
So again, I'm like, I don't mean to brag, but look at this.
Like, a good deal. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So. Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. But how are you, Angelique? Tell us.
I'm well. I'm just trying to keep up with life. It's going though. It's good. Yesterday, as we talked about, was Halloween, and we saw Dune, and then we watched some scary movies at home. We did Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, did you?
Have you seen it?
I have. It's a fun one.
I think you'd like that one. Cabin in the Woods, and then I convinced Josh to watch The Haunted Mansion.
Fun.
With Eddie Murphy. It's very bad, but it's so funny.
Dude, okay, I don't mean to hijack, but did you know that next year they're coming out with a Hocus Pocus 2?
I heard, so it's real. I thought it was a rumor. I'm so happy.
It's real. Like Disney Plus shared a photo, and all the Sanderson sisters coming back, like Sarah Jessica Parker and all them. So
I'm really excited. I wonder if anyone else from the original cast is coming back.
I don't think so. I don't know.
They're all adults.
Girls like older than us.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that the little girl that played the little witch. I didn't know she's the girl in American Beauty.
Oh yes.
Isn't that crazy? I'm like,
that is. Yeah.
I'm like, I've seen you in a different light for sure. But
sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Haunted Mansion, it was fun. I remember loving it as a kid, but I couldn't remember it that much. And Josh and I were just like laughing because, of course, it's like some kids' Disney movies are just not great, but there's like a funness to them,
Yes.
So that was cool. But
nice.
when after Dune, we got ramen, and it was all at Hollywood and Highland and like that outdoor mall thing. And we're walking to the car to the garage, and we see this exhibit. It's like they have store space, but it said it was called I have it right here. It was called Wave Japan.
Oh,
and it was called it's at a place called Japan House, Los Angeles.
Okay.
And we're like, what's this? It was a free museum highlighting it was called New Currents in Japanese Graphic Art. So it was 55 artists from Japan showcasing their graphic graphic artwork. And it was really cool. And just to give you some examples, it was a lot of manga as well as just tons of people that were inspired by Andy Warhol. So there was pop art that was Japanese inspired.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to find one of my favorites. There were so many cool ones. Josh loved this one. Hold on, right
down there.
Yeah, that one was cool. Little girl holding a cat. And there was just really cool artwork. I love going to art museums. This one was kind of one of the pop art ones. It's supposed to be about World War II.
Wow.
Just a ton of cool stuff.
Have you guys been to the Broad since you love
I have, but he hasn't yet because the tickets I know they're free, but they get snatched up quickly.
Yes.
So I haven't been successful yet, especially because Josh is working during the week, but he's only doing half days. So I might be able to finagle a morning trip. That would be really cool. I really want him to see it. I was like, you could see all the big artists. It's such a good museum. So yeah, if you guys are in LA, also recommend the Broad, or if you're going to Hollywood and Highland area, this is worth it because apparently they're here for a while. So they're gonna in a month they're gonna change it to different artwork. So every 3 months they do a different exhibition.
I love that.
And it was really cool. They had a table called the Imagine, what was it called? The Imagination table, and they had tons of pieces of paper with graphic art that you could color in, or you could color your own thing, do whatever you want. You had to draw and stuff. I think I have it. I started one, but it was gonna take me too long, so I didn't really get into it.
And could you take the art with you?
I think so. I did. Now I can't find it. It was just a little. It's they printed off papers the way kids would color in stuff.
Yeah, that's so
coloring
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. So that was a lot of fun. That's pretty much it. Planty wise, I've been trying to rehome some plants. I've not been
Have
successful
you?
yet. Yeah, it's just like my staghorn ferns that I wanted to mount. I never got to it, and now they're kind of on the outs. And I'm just like, I think someone can save them, but I'm just getting too overwhelmed to the point where it's like my little guy from Hawaii is doing really poorly. And it's just like,
Really?
yeah, I just haven't had time to focus, and I feel like even stuff in the cabinet is suffering. You saw my beachy eye talking about the king,
Yeah.
very mad at me right now. So I think I need to repot that because she has it in like an orchid plastic
Yeah.
thing, and I can see the roots like at the bottom.
Mm,
So
that
I
might
think,
help.
yeah, I think I'm gonna try to up pot it, but I'm just feeling a little overwhelmed. So I'm trying to rehome anything that I'm not really in love with.
Yeah, and that's a
But
good feeling when you can do that, it's like, like,
definitely.
I don't know about you, it's so hard for me to part with plants, even ones that I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not in love with you anymore." But yeah,
Right.
so
There's
once you
definitely
do
like
it
a guilt with them, you know?
but once you do it, it feels so good.
That's the thing, and I know I'm gonna feel better once they're gone, and I've done that before and I feel great. So I'm just like, "You know what? Just let it go." But
Yeah.
I tried posting in that like LA Plant Traders group that you and I have used, and I realized today I was like, 'cause I posted on Saturday, they never approved my post. So I
What?
think that's why I have not been successful so far, but
Weird.
I'm gonna try again, and if not, I'll just post them because I tried to sell them, but on, like, the cheapy cheap.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ferns I put for free, and then there were a few things that, like, I put very cheap, in my opinion, and, like, or
Yeah,
best offer sort of stuff because 'cause they're, like, they're fine, they're just not great, but, we'll see. If anything, I'll put them on Marketplace. I just want them to go
yeah,
fast. If not, I'll
yeah,
give them away, but I'm just like it's
I
just becoming a
know.
lot, but it's good. It's being worked out. So I think I just need to focus a little bit more. I feel like my alocasias are being weird. My little Stephania recta is being weird, and
Yeah,
then but then there's a few things that are going well. So I'm trying to focus on the positive, like my
yeah.
Rotunda flora, my new Hoya. I saw a little baby
Yes.
popping out, and I was like,
Oh my
they're so
god.
cute when they're babies."
They're so cute.
And then my philodendron mamey put out another leaf. I haven't even
Yes.
posted about it. That's become literally, I think, one of my top 5 favorite plants that I have ever had, and I didn't think it was at first, but
Yeah,
I think especially because I got discouraged when when I bought it, that leaf remember how, like, it was, like, stressed out and it
yeah.
died? I was like, "Wow, I have a stump now. It's probably dead forever." And then it just, like, wasn't. And it worked out, and so now it's just, like, I feel like every 2 weeks I see a new leaf coming out.
That's
I'm sure it's probably
amazing.
on its way out now to, like, as far as, like, hibernation and stuff. I'm guessing that's probably the last leaf I'm gonna get this year,
Possibly.
but I bought that in, like, March. No,
Yeah,
you were still living here. I got it in February, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
To go from February to now, and I think I went from 1 leaf to no leaves to, I think, 5 or 6 leaves.
Oh my
I
goodness,
was
you
like, I
gotta
feel like
post,
that
like
was pretty fast, c all things
yes,
considered, you know?
totally. Yeah, you gotta post, like a whole, like, update photo, you know what I mean?
Where it was and how it's going.
Mhm.
I should, because I have old photos of it too, and it's just really cute. So that one makes me
Yeah.
feel better about myself. My Albo, it's fine. It put out another aerial root. It's just not like a variegated leaf. There's like the tiniest little speck of discoloring where I was like, I think that's
Mhm.
variegation. And I'm like, but I'm hoping the next one, because
Yeah,
I see that it can be pregnant. Like it has a little
little
point.
bump. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's time to graduate it from the 7-Eleven cup because I can't see the roots, and that's what's stressing me out. So I'm
Yeah.
like, "Ugh," but, it seems to really like plastic, so I'm nervous to transition it. But you've transitioned elbows to terracotta, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have.
They've done okay, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Tarek. Oh, Fitzy.
Hi, Fitzy. Hi, honey. Look at him, so
He's so
handsome.
sweet. Oh, like
Hi,
a
sweetie
little
boy. Hi, sweetie.
but as I was saying, yeah, I love terracotta, so I put a lot of things in terracotta, so I think it'll be totally fine.
You're like, "Just make it work, guys.
Yeah,
Make
yeah,
it
yeah,
work."
yeah, for sure, for sure.
He's like, "Mom, I'm done."
I love it. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
I wanna make the switch. I don't mind. I don't have, like, a specific pot, but in case it's terracotta, I just wanna know that that's doable. I just don't wanna shock it because it's been in
Yeah.
perlite. So I'm thinking like the roots are juicy. So hopefully it'll be okay. So I'll keep you guys all posted, but I think I just need to pump the brakes a little and have less plants. I
I hear
think
ya.
that's where I'm at right now. We've talked about getting rid of plants before, and I think I just need to do a bit of a push. Like, I have that really long pothos from Travis and David.
Yes.
I think I've, like, been kinda tempted to just chop it.
Yeah.
Like, I kinda want to. Like, I'm so proud of how long it is. Like, it's as long as the bathroom,
Yeah.
but it's just feeling like a lot. Like, it's so hard for me to water it and things. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find ways to, like, trim, here and there,
Yeah.
and just chip
Well,
away those
here's a
pieces.
thought. Could you plant any of these outdoors? Like, even in
I
your community area? Like, I
I
mean,
think they'd be super open to it. I just have to be careful because there's gardeners, and they freak me out because they just, like, they, like, always are dropping my plants and, like, passing because they pass through with huge
yeah.
lawnmowers. I definitely could, but I think as far as outside goes, it'd be better if I hung stuff. I wouldn't be able to plant in the ground, I don't think.
Okay.
But I have the option, and I think a pothos would do well outside.
Yeah.
I
'Cause, I
have to
mean,
see.
I know, like, obviously, there's not a whole lot of humidity in California, but here in Florida, like, the pothos just grow up trees, and they're
They're
just, like I mean, it
amazing.
could be really cool. Like, who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
we could.
I'm gonna think about that. I hadn't thought too much about putting stuff outside. I thought about putting a couple Hoya outside. 'Cause
Mhm.
I thought about maybe the one you gave me, but then I think I have a spot for that, the pubic calyx, but then
Yeah.
I have one that someone gave me a cutting of that's used to being outside, and it flowered outside, so I was like, "Maybe I'll just throw that outside and just see what
That'd be
happens."
cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out, but I'll keep you guys posted on what I decide to do, but things are going well. It's just, I'm just trying to focus on, like, the good growth that's happening in the house, and if something's not doing well, just being okay with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's
totally.
the big challenge, yeah. But
Aw.
Holly, what are
Yes.
we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about all things houseplant villains, AKA
Oh, no.
I know. So, Angelique, you made some pretty amazing notes.
Oh, thank you, which, by the
So
way, I need a
descriptive.
oh my gosh, saved my life. There's one specific website I wanted to shout out, once I can find them. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Um, so sorry. I thought I wrote it in our notes, but I realized I didn't. Planetnatural.com, guys. I just
Nice.
wanted to give you guys a quick I wanted to give them a quick shout out and let you guys know about them. They're known as the Planet Natural Research Center, answers and advice for organic gardeners.
Hmm.
So it's a great place where you can put in anything. Like, they have a whole, like, search. It's like a Google just for, like, gardening, which I
Oh,
thought was
cool.
really cool. So you could type in mealy bugs, and they would give you everything they know on mealy bugs, and they would recommend
Wow.
products to buy to combat them, and you can do it with every pest that
That
they
is
have
so
on their
nice.
roster. Yeah. So I just wanted to give them a shout out because they inspired a lot of the notes that I took. And so if you guys need, like, an easy resource to just kind of get quick answers, they're a good website that I feel like they seem to know what they're talking about.
That's
But
really
yes,
awesome.
and I shared some
Yay.
notes with Holly because I was like, I don't think we've done we talked about this on last week's episode. I don't think we've really done a full on, like, houseplant pests, like the basic
Right.
pests and what to expect with them, you know?
Yeah, totally. So I
Yeah.
think it'll be a good one, hopefully helpful, and yeah.
Honestly, I'm the worst when it comes to pests. I'm kind of just like, "We'll see." So, I need to be better about knowing that there's, like, a way out and actually
Yes.
dealing with them because I'm just kind of like, unless it's a mealybug, which I like, "Oh, I'll just grab some alcohol, whatever." I'm kinda just like, "We'll figure it out. I don't know." I see a web and I'm like, "Is it spider mites or do I just have an old house?" And I always go with old house. So, we'll
It all
see.
depends on the webs, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, start us off, Holly. What's the first one on our
Okay,
list?
so the first one,
Speaking of.
speaking of, is actually mealybug. So
Ugh.
I think if you guys have been, collecting plants for at least like 6 months to a year, you probably know what mealybugs are, but the
Here you guys
description
go.
is, yes, there you
For
go.
anyone on YouTube, there you go. They're
Yes.
very
They
cottony.
are soft-bodied, wingless insects that appear as white,
Ooh.
cottony masses on the leaf stems and fruit of plants. They feed by inserting long, sucking mouth parts called stylets. Is that how you say
Yep.
it?
That's what I've been calling it.
Ugh, into the
Nightmare.
plant and drawing out sap of the tissue. And honestly, yeah, it really is
They're like
cottony.
vampires.
They're so gross. They have like little like
they're sticky cotton.
Yes. And they kind of have like I don't know, like tails or like little like antennas too, some of them.
Yeah. I squished them and then blood comes out.
Yeah, or they turn brown. Ugh.
Yes. Ugh.
So gross. So I would say that the threat is pretty bad on these, like especially
I think they're bad. Yeah, if they go untreated.
But you know what I've noticed with mealybugs specifically is if you have a plant that is already struggling, because apparently plants send out like these stressors somehow, and it attracts the bugs. So, for example, like I'll never forget one time I found a mealybug on a monstera of all things. And normally I feel like because these things like to suck on things, they go after like Hoya or succulents, but it was on my monstera, and it turned out that that monstera had root rot. So I'm like, oh, that's why you're getting mealybugs. You're just like, they're like, oh, this is an easy target. It already has root rot. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, is that the monstera you bought to the Topanga nursery?
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're talking about. Okay, it's a couple years ago.
So I say if you spot a mealybug, maybe take a look under the hood and just double check that your plant is in overall health and it's not just like a fluke, you know?
Right. And in terms of treating it, what are your thoughts? Like for me, I've always gotten, what's it called? Like the alcohol, hydroperoxide.
Yeah.
I'll get like a stick or something, twist cotton on it, get that wet, and I just go to town. Like you're doing your cuticles, but it's on the plant.
Yeah.
And just like cuticle it up, trying to clean them. I think neem oil is a good one, right?
Yeah, I think neem oil is really good for like prevention because the bugs don't like the smell. But unfortunately, I don't think neem oil does a lot, like for anything.
Yeah, I think neem oil is like a preventative. It doesn't fight like if it's already there, right?
Yeah, that's at least that's been my experience. But along with what you were saying, like for killing the initial outbreak, like getting like a Q-tip with like either alcohol or hydrogen peroxide is a really good way to get the adults. And then as far as like to stop them from coming back, because sometimes you may have to do a few treatments. I honestly like systemic granules. And when we get into scale and things like that, we can also talk about that. But it's one of those
granules are great.
Yeah, it's one of those things that some people aren't really a fan of because it's like, I think considered a pesticide. I'm not really sure, but it can be fairly toxic in a way. And like you obviously, the way systemic granules work is they're little granules and you put them into the soil. And when you water your plant, it takes it up through like the roots and the leaves so that when the soft bodied bugs or any type of sucking bugs bite into your leaf, then they're like poisoned.
They're like, we don't like this.
Yeah. Like, oh no.
I read online too, some people recommend leaf shine and regularly cleaning your leaves. Apparently, like whatever chemicals are in your leaf shine discourages the bugs from eating as well.
Well, that's good. And definitely keeping your leaves clean is another way to, specifically for spider mites, when we get on that, like making sure there's no dust on your leaves and just doing a regular like wipe down, or like what I like to do whenever I water my plants is bring them to the shower or the sink and I'll like hose off essentially the leaves.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little fun fact for you. There is about 275 species of mealybugs in the US.
Dude, that is scary. Do they look different, you think, or are they like very similar to each other?
Online, I think some are not as white. I think they're generally white.
Yeah.
But I think they have like little variations in tone and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know like if one is more threatening than the other, but I was just like, oh, gross.
I know. They just look gross. Like I get startled by them. I'm like, oh,
it's like, oh God, I feel dirty. I'm like, oh,
I know.
Sorry.
You know, another way to prevent it with mealybugs is to check your produce that you bring in the house, because that's how a lot of houseplant pests come in. And I have noticed specifically with mealybugs, I've seen some on like a sweet potato.
Oh like, my God.
No, like I think I was at my parents' house and they had, like a little fruit bowl or like veggie bowl, and they kind of had some potatoes that were not looking so hot. And I'm like, that's a motherfucking mealy bug on the potato.
Yeah, so did you guys eat it?
No, I threw it out. I'm like, Mom, this needs to go. She's like, what happened?
She's like, just give it a rinse. No.
Anyway, so I just wanted to bring that up. So.
God. Yeah, I didn't even realize it. Of course, they would cling on to stuff at the store. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Ew, yeah. Wash your produce too, guys. You never know. As soon as you get home. So next on the list, we have aphids, which they're also sap suckers. I feel like a lot of these are going to be sap suckers, and they have a really interesting look because they have little legs that kind of remind me of a spider, but they're kind of like a greenish sort of pale color, you know?
And they come in different colors. Like I've seen different colors on plants, and they almost sort of look like little tiny, like, I don't even know, like skinny beetles.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. They come in green, yellow, brown, red, or black, depending on the species and food source. Depending on what they eat, they might change color.
Dude, so you know what's funny? So I typically see aphids primarily on outdoor plants. Like when I had a herb garden, I definitely saw them. Like they're very common with outdoor gardeners. But I bought a Hoya curtisii once from an outdoor nursery, and it had aphids. And I'm like,
no.
Okay. I'm like, no big deal. Because with like my outdoor plants, I would just cut them and whatever. But they kept coming back. I was like, oh my.
To that Hoya specifically?
Yes.
I wonder if they have babies inside, like in the soil.
I think because I just couldn't get rid of them. And like the plant was just very worse for wear. Like, so I ended up putting it outside, and it's just.
You let the earth take it?
Yes. Because I think as outdoor gardening goes, like aphids aren't really harmful because you can cut them, and there's obviously beneficial insects outdoors.
Right.
And, that's when you would not want to use systemic granules or for like outdoor plants because they have the beneficial insects. And we can talk more about like ladybugs and green lacewings and all those.
I literally put ladybugs help with aphids. Yes. They're your friend. Yes. I also read diatomaceous. Is that how you say it?
Diatomaceous earth. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently that's recommended for aphids as well, which I think is a little bit
interesting. Okay.
Apparently it's supposed to help with long lasting protection. I was like, oh, I didn't know that when it came to aphids.
Do you put it on like, because it's interesting because with that, like the aphids are usually on the leaves, because I've heard of diatomaceous earth being good for fungus gnats.
Right.
Maybe they are in the soil too. I don't know.
Well, let me see. Did I write anything about that? I think you're right. They're usually found feeding in clusters on new growth of plants. So like the leaves and things.
Yes, that is a thing.
Sure. I do wonder though if they put their, like if they just like have babies, if they just like can go in the soil. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also 4,000 aphid species throughout the world, guys. That's insane. Another fun fact, I wrote this down just because I thought it was funny. Most aphids, except for the sexual forms, whatever that means, do not have a mate in order to reproduce, and they produce live young, not eggs.
Oh, so they're asexual.
I guess, yeah. There's a few. I guess there's a few species that still gets it on, but most of them
don't need no man.
Literally, most of them are like, we don't need them, so it's all good. But yes, if you guys
run the world,
girls, if you guys see like leaves curling, turning yellow, and your plants just stunted, they're not growing, it could be aphids.
And here's a good thing with aphids, along with mealybugs, they're actually very visible. Like you can see.
Yes, definitely.
So that'll help you too.
Yep.
Oh boy.
So you had just mentioned fungus gnats. What are your thoughts on them? Because they're just they're like there, but then they're not there. I don't know.
I know. So I don't love having a huge infestation. Nobody does, but it's one of the most like first houseplant pests, like I'm saying in quotation pests, that a lot of people find. So I notice when, a lot of newer plant parents, when they're starting to recognize what is a pest and what's this and that, their first thing they see are fungus gnats, and they're typically very like worried, and they're kind of overwhelmed and like, let's eradicate the fungus gnats. I have an infestation. And then I'm over here, like I'm making my TikTok, like it's not that big of a deal. And
whatever.
Now there is the idea that when you have a major infestation that they do, like they have their like larvae in the soil that
That's
will
what I read is the
somewhat
problem.
feed
The
on the
adults are
roots.
fine. Yeah.
So that's the only thing. But honestly, I've really never had issues with like a lot of them. You know, they're more of like a nuisance. And like, obviously, we don't want, like, there's a fungus gnat flying around my head right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Like, I think sticky traps are really good.
The yellow ones, I think that's done wonders for me. That's usually been enough. That's all I've done when it comes to gnats.
And they will kill the adults, which is good. And then I think as far as like for like the larva, having diatomaceous earth in the soil is good. And I was always worried because once it's wet, it's not a powder anymore and it's not really doing its job. But I heard that it does. Once the soil dries again, then it will. And that's, of course, another thing too, is like their fungus gnats are attracted to moist soil. So you really don't want to be overwatering your plants if you can. And then for those that don't want to dry out, like let's just say calathea or begonia, I'd say like sticky traps would be really good. And honestly, if you are really concerned and you really want to eradicate the fungus gnats, a systemic granule, you know?
Just boom, it's the nuke.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
It's a Z-pack for your sick plant.
Yes. When you were saying, you know, let your plants dry out more, that sort of thing, that's been recommended online as well, because it says here, if pests are present, allow your soil to dry to a depth of at least 1 to 2 inches between waterings. Apparently that not only kills the larva, it also inhibits the development of the eggs. So, and it makes that space, like it makes that soil less attractive to the females that are laying eggs, because they're seeing that it's too dry of a space because they want that moisture for their babies.
Yep.
So you might have to, even if you have a plant that loves to drink, maybe letting it suffer a little just to dry it out.
Just for a time, you know.
Small bit. But yes, just like Holly said, knock on wood, but generally I personally haven't had big issues with them. Like I see them once in a while in the cabinet and I just throw in a trap and they're gone. It seems like
I see the merit of wanting to protect your plants, and I could see where it could be a problem. Like I said, if it's a very bad infestation, like if you are moving the soil and 10 of them fly, like, okay, yeah, I could see getting rid of that. But
of course.
just to like encourage new plant parents that are like, I have a fungus gnat infestation. Like, girl, we all have a fungus gnat infestation. It's okay.
We are all fungus gnats.
We're fungus gnat hoe.
Yes, exactly. But when you see a picture of them up close, they look like mosquitoes.
I know, but they're so tiny.
YouTube, there you go.
Yeah, do we show them aphids?
Oh, yes, you
guys are watching on YouTube.
Watching on YouTube. Here's an aphid. And maybe we'll try to post something on Instagram as well, so you guys can see. Kind of like what we did for Halloween, like a little, well, you guys, you should keep an eye out for. And then the next pest, you guys, is a big one in the plant community that stresses people out.
Yeah.
I'm just going to show you the photo first,
Holly.
Dun, dun, dun. There they are. There's the spider mites. Okay. You know a lot about spider mites, so I'm gonna let you take this one away.
Okay, yeah. I mean, spider mites, I used to think was like the end of a plant's life, and it's really not. Like if you get them, like there's hope. Okay, so that's again where I used to think it was like the end of like my plant. You know, like people, like you would look it up, like how to get rid of spider mites, and they'd say throw the plant away.
Like that's right. I'm like, what do you mean throw the plant away?
Dude, okay. So first of all, we'll talk about what they are. They're closer to spiders and like
arachnids. Yeah.
They're closer to scorpions. Gross. But so they come in different colors too. Like I've seen, I think the red ones in particular are like a different one. I don't know, but they're like a brown, what other color? Like white.
Brown or just like a pale, like very like soft
yeah. So, and like these ones are very small. Now, if you think you may have spider mites, this is where you have to really take a look. It's not like mealy bugs where you can see them. You're going to want to get like a leaf or wherever, like under a bright light, even like a magnifying glass. Like they do have, well, funny enough, Adam from, at Not Dude, he has these really cool, I want to say it's like, it's like glasses with like a light and a magnifying glass. So he's able to like really look at his leaves.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I think like jewelers wear glasses like that when they're like looking at diamonds and stuff. You can probably look those up online.
Yes, I think it's like an Amazon purchase.
Yes, yes.
But
yeah, go ahead.
No, totally. Because you want to look at them closely, because if it gets to a point where the webs, because they create little webs, do get over, like if they like envelop like the whole leaf, like you might have more of a problem on your hands, but it's not the end of the world. So what they like to do, like let's just say on a monstera, you got your heart-shaped leaf. If you look at the back, right where there's like a little ridge, you can see webbing. And if it's very, very fine, that's how you can tell the difference between just a house spider web, like a house spider, versus spider mites. So it's going to be very fine webbing, almost like a veil. Like it's just very, very thin.
Yes, I think I talked about it on the podcast. Remember a few months ago when I was trying out Market Botany's spray, that I found that big spider living on my monstera leaf, and it like curled it in. That webbing was like you could almost not see through it. It was very white and thick and sticky, whereas spider mite webbing, which you guys, again, I'll show in the photo, you can see that it has that see-through sort of veil look. It's going to feel like a very thin layer, I think. It looks like a thin layer. Yeah.
Totally. So yes, they do suck. You do have to literally, they suck. And you will have to do a few treatments on these. Now, one thing that I have done in the past to eradicate spider mites is, this was a few years ago, and I heard the typical, oh, use neem oil, da-da-da. And I'm like, you know what? That neem oil doesn't do shit. Like, I'm sorry. So what I did was I researched what cannabis growers use, because they always experience spider mites. Like on Avatar, I worked with someone who had worked as a trimmer, and he was telling me like what they do and stuff. Like, and anyways, so I came across a product called Green Cleaner. There's also, it's called like, it starts with an A, like Azamax or something like that. But look up what cannabis growers use for spider mites, and it's really helpful. And the key is you need like an organic type of product. So that's why people do recommend neem oil, because it is organic. It's not a pesticide, which I even heard that the pesticides can encourage more spider mite like production.
That was a big thing. They were saying like, keep your response to spider mites natural and organic, nothing chemical based, because apparently, it's pushes them to spread.
Because it's an arachnid, it's not an insect. So
exactly, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
And
so
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
The brand you were recommending with the weed growers you're reading up on is Azamax, Azamax.
Yep.
And apparently it's considered one of the top pesticides for your plants. So there you go.
Yeah.
And it says specifically for spider mites.
Yeah, I think that's key. Like if you are going to buy like a Captain Jack's dead bug, like make sure it just says spider mites on it somewhere. Right. And that'll help. And then I think the last thing I was going to say is if you see spider mites, just make sure you hose off the leaves as well, just to get rid of the webbing in the initial outbreak, and keep your leaves clean and away from, and not dusty, and that'll definitely help.
Yes, and for those of you that love calathea, very big in the calathea family. So and
alocasia.
Yes, so just keep an eye. Especially the good thing is like you have your very dark alocasias like Cuprea, and you have calathea ornata, which is like the purple bottoms. It's really easy to see the webbing on those. It's harder on like an orbifolia and stuff. So just try to stay on top of it with calathea. I tend to slack, but that's where they seem to enjoy to be.
It's funny too that you mentioned that, because when you Google spider mites, a lot of times you get the a calathea ornata leaf, like the back purple side, and you can see it's almost like little like specks of salt or something.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, because it's so tiny, right?
Yes.
Oh, God. So Holly, tell us about thrips.
There's thrips. Sometimes they're black too. Like these ones I think have been the hardest
to
identify.
Yes.
Yeah, these ones crawl. You can see them like crawling on your leaves. They they eat the leaves. Like you can see like also with spider mite damage, you can see like little bite marks. It's like you'll just see these little like blemishes on the leaf.
Yeah.
And that's from thrips. And honestly, I don't know a whole lot about them. I think I have had a few, but then I've gotten rid of them. I know they can fly. So I hear that they spread really easly, and that's when you can get like a full-on like infestation. So you just want to make sure you really keep any infected plant away from your other plants if you find thrips on them.
Right.
I know that Nicole, she's been dealing with thrips quite a bit, and she's been posting on her TikTok, and yeah, it's been hitting a lot of people hard this season. I don't know if it's just because I'm in Florida, but knock on wood, I haven't really had any pests this year. So, but I'm keeping an eye out.
Right, because it's gonna be your first winter, so I'm excited. I'm interested to see what happens. Not excited.
First winter in Florida, yeah.
Yeah, with thrips though, because they can fly and leap and things, that's the big reason why you need to keep your infected plants separated. Because if you treat, let's say, plant number 1, but you don't move it out of the way from its neighbor, plant number 2, they're just gonna hop onto the next plant that's not infected.
And it's also a good idea to go ahead and check any neighboring plants of the infected, because you never know.
Right. And then some signs to look for, guys. The leaves may turn pale, splotchy, and this is what I found interesting, silvery before dying.
Yeah.
So if like you have a plant that's not a Scindapsus and you're like, why does this plant look silver? And it's supposed to look black, then you're like, oh, that could be thrips. So that's a big thing to look at. Injured plants, they might get twisted and scarred and things too.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah. So I don't know. Apparently, treatment. That's what I didn't tell you. That's what we didn't tell you guys. Supposedly blue sticky traps, specifically blue. I don't know why.
I think I did hear that. So interesting.
I wonder what it is color-wise, because then for fungus gnats, they recommend yellow. So I don't know, like I know certain bugs, they like to go to bright things, so I could kind of justify the yellow.
You know what's interesting is that Cameron from Market Botany, when he sent me a little care package, he included some really cute butterfly sticky traps, but they were black.
Black. Interesting. I wonder what the reasoning is behind that. It's probably good for things like thrips, because then they can really show up if they're not the black ones, if it's the white ones.
Yeah, because I didn't think much of it at the time, but now hearing and thinking about the color, like meanings with the sticky traps, like maybe it has a deeper meaning.
If you guys know why color is specific for certain insects or certain pests, let us know, because I'd be fascinated to find out. Yeah.
Hit us up on IG.
Yeah. Have you ever used insecticidal soap?
Yes, it's a lot of like the Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew and 8 from that one. The one, well, I don't think it's a brand, but it's, it says 8 on it.
Yeah. That's what they recommend too for thrips. So
cool.
I don't know. All right, our last one I think is a pretty big one. Scale.
It looks so gross.
And yeah, I've never seen it up close. Look how ugly that is, guys.
They're so gross.
God.
If you're a succulent lover, you will probably at some point come across these. They love succulents. It's so gross, but they are not too. Yeah, they're not above getting on aeroids either, so be careful.
Oh God.
I know.
They're very bumpy. It looks like scarring in my experience. Just like, why does that plant have a scar on its stem?
And they're so difficult to remove. You pretty much have to like scratch it off or scrape it off with something. So this one, I would for sure recommend not insecticidal soap. I mean, you could, but I would definitely recommend the granules, because if they're going to be sucking on the plant so much, you just got to get them.
Gotta go hard. Yeah, it literally says prune and dispose infected leaves. You can like literally pick them off by hand is like some of the best.
It takes forever.
Yep. And apparently dabbing individual pests with an alcohol-soaked cotton swab or neem-based leaf shine. Supposedly that helps too. So like how we said alcohol for the mealy bugs, stab them.
Well, here's an important thing to note. Different from the mealy bugs, these are hard-bodied, not soft-bodied. So you really, I don't know if you could squish them. You could stab them and scrape them,
Yes.
But
Well,
that's what makes them such a nuisance.
yeah, they're really annoying, and I'm glad you mentioned the soft that they're not soft because I learned that there's 2 types, but I think hard is more common. So
Oh,
there's
oh, the armored,
what
yes.
they're called armored scale, I guess. So this is what the website that I recommended said. It says the hard ones, the armored ones, secrete a hard protective covering over themselves, which is what you see when you're trying to pick them off. It's
Yep.
not attached to their bodies. The hard scale lives and feeds under this spherical armor and does not move about the plant, and they do not secrete honeydew from the plant. However, there is a soft one that exists, and that one secretes a waxy film that is part of their body, and they're able to move short distances, but rarely do. They're lazy. And then they produce copious amounts of honeydew, and the soft scale can vary in shape from flat bugs to almost spherical, like round.
You know
But
what?
they're not as common apparently.
I've seen soft ones too then, because
Yeah.
that sounds really familiar, like on succulents and stuff. Ugh.
They're so
And you're the
gross.
succulent queen. Have you had to deal with scale a lot?
I think I should probably just let it happen. I don't even know. The garden's a
You're on
mess
your
right
own,
now,
sis.
guys. I'm kind of just like, you figure it out. I've had plants, like I had one succulent that always had mealy bugs, no matter how much I cleaned it.
I remember that one, the
That
little
one,
guy.
I don't even know if it's still around. Maybe the neighbor cat took it. It's somewhere, but like I kind of just leave it, put it in its own corner and just let it exist. Now I'm just like, if you want them, you can have them. You can keep the bugs. I just don't want you near the other plants.
Yeah.
God, but I agree with you. I feel like scale is one of the hardest ones to get rid of because like you're kind of like you have to really like kind of rip them off of the plants and then let them scab over and scar, and you're always going to have like
No.
a reminder that they were there, you know?
And I remember the first time I ever saw scale, it was on this really cute variegated cactus that I got from the flower market.
Yeah.
This was back when I still lived in downtown, and
Oh
I
yeah.
spent like over an hour getting every little scale. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Just for like a few days later for them all to come back. I
Oh
was
my
so pissed.
god. That's
I
a
was like, what?
nightmare.
Oh my God,
Do
I
they
just
like cactus too?
Oh yes,
I wonder if they
absolutely.
like dry plants.
Well, anything that's succulent where they can really
Oh,
like
juicy.
dig
Yeah, that
their
makes
teeth
sense.
into. I don't know if they
Right.
have teeth, but
Oh my god, they're gross.
it's like the
Ugh.
tick of plants.
The what?
It's like the tick of
They
plants.
literally are the tick of plants. I feel so bad
Mhm.
for them. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Ugh.
Apparently, they have their babies are called nymphs, which are also called crawlers. So what they
Crawlers.
do is when they're new, they migrate out from this covering and they move about the plant until a suitable feeding site is found, and then they stick their little it literally says mouth parts. I don't even know what that means. And then they begin to feed. So they're like little vampires too.
Yeah, little
As
baby
they
ants.
feed, they develop their own armor, and then they become the immobilized adults. It's
So,
like
well, this
the
is where we're gonna set roots.
Yep, it's like in Wall-E when you see all the people that don't they just sit in chairs and hang out in space just eating. That's what they are.
They are.
They're like the future of the human race.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, scale is disgusting. Remember, when you found me a rickrack cactus and you were like, "I promise it's not scale." There was, like, some
Oh,
scarring at the bottom, and I
yeah.
was like, "We're good." I was like,
That's
"Oh."
the scary thing is like I was even looking at my Ripsalis paradoxa today because it has little bits of like I don't know leaf damage or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it, and I'm like, okay, it's not scale,
right, but sometimes it just looks like a plant got, like, hit,
like
so it's
little
hard to
dots.
tell.
Yeah.
Do you have recommendations for that? Like, is there a way you can, like, poke it to see if it moves or
Well, you could go at it with a Q-tip and some like
Yeah,
alcohol and just kind of scrub the areas that look like it could be scale. But
right.
other than that, it's a little scary
Well,
because
like, let's
I have
see.
because what I've done in the past when I think it's scale, I'm like scraping at this poor leaf and I'm like, oh no, that wasn't scale. That was just like
It was
whatever.
just a stab, it was
And now I've
disgusting.
made it worse.
Oh, no.
But yeah,
You
so
had good
I'm
intentions.
just gonna recommend lightly, light
Yes.
scrapes.
Oh god. Oh,
Yeah.
man, it's yeah, it's a lot. Oh my goodness. God, I'm trying to think. Did we well, I was gonna say, did we miss any major ones? I just honorable mention from last week, chiggers, still a pest, very Florida
The
heavy.
red bugs. There is
Yeah.
like white flies, but I've never really seen them. I think I've seen them on an outdoor plant once.
I
So
thought about talking about them, but yeah, I didn't know much about them either. I feel like we covered the intro level ones. Like these are the big ones to look out for, I feel. And of course, there's always more.
one thing
But
I think
yeah.
I will mention very briefly are things called soil mites, which are not bad, but I used to freak out over these because you can see them pretty well on like the bottoms of terracotta pots or the sides, and they're just eating like bad debris. Or is it debris or is it like it's not mold, but it's helping the soil keep a healthy amount of bacteria,
They're
because
good bugs.
yes, they're good bugs because we always hear the term like your soil is alive, like it's not a sterile, like it's feeding your plant, right? So these little tiny soil mites are there just doing their job. So
yeah, they're just here to hang.
yes.
Oh man, I feel like we're gonna get off this this recording and I'm gonna just be like, I have pests everywhere.
Well, so which pests have you had before we send us off? Tell us like
mealy bugs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a few good mealy bugs for the books, and then I've probably had spider mites, but I don't think I ever dealt with them. I think I was just kind of like, here's a rinse, it's probably fine. But like if I don't see like a major decline in the plant, I'm kind of just like, oh, fine, right? So
you don't freak out like I used to.
oh my gosh, I just don't know because spiders in general I'm okay with. Like some of if they move fast, I get nervous, like big ones that are very leggy, but Josh and I, we don't like to kill bugs, so if we see that he's minding its own business and it's not a recluse or a black widow, like if it's not anything that can hurt the cat that's poisonous, we kind of just leave them alone. Like we had a resident in our bathroom for a while. I know you're probably gonna hate me, Holly. He was a daddy long legs, and I know they're nice.
They're not so bad, but I'm talking about like the thick, like beefy spiders.
Those freak me out.
Yeah.
The ones like that, we normally just put them in a cup, slide paper under it, and take it outside.
See, you're so brave. I Dyson on like high mode. I'm like,
go die.
I really admire your outlook on bugs because I'm just like, kill them.
Go away. Well, that spider though that was in the monstera, it was so thick and white, and that freaked me out.
Yeah,
I couldn't even touch the plant. I was done. I was like, this is disgusting. So there's certain ones like if they feel threatening, I get nervous. But in general, like little guys, I'm okay. But I try to just put them outside the best I can because I'm like,
that's understandable.
As long as you're not trying to hurt my cat. We get stressed though because we get a lot of black widows around our house, and we found a brown recluse the other day.
Was it inside or outdoor?
No, it was outside, but it was it was like a couple inches from our front door. So we had to dispose of him. Yeah. Because that one's really dangerous. Like that could hurt us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was stressful. We named some of the black widows, and I was like, we can't humanize them. We cannot do it.
Please, no, not black widows.
What did we name them? Josh named them. They had some cute names because they come out every night in the same spot.
Oh,
I'm like, we have to stop doing this. They're dangerous. But yeah, that's where we're at, guys. That's where we're at. So I've had those two. I don't think I've had like extreme scale or anything.
That's good.
Again, if I've had them, I probably don't know. So fungus gnats for sure.
Which ones?
Fungus gnats, I know about.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever, but it's doable. You've experienced a good amount, like you know how to combat them, right?
Yeah. As far as like house plants go, the pests I've had are like mealy bugs, not really too much aphids for inside the house, fungus gnats, spider mites.
I think they're gonna happen, you know.
I don't think I've had thrips, but I have had scale. So yeah.
What are you gonna do? So yes, guys, take a look at the products we recommended. Let us know if you have questions. But yeah, those are always a good way to go.
Yes. Hope you guys enjoyed this.
Yes, I did. At least if no one else did. I did. Holly, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me at concretebotanical _ on Instagram and at Concrete Botanical on TikTok. Shop Concrete Botanical on both Instagram and TikTok, and concretebotanical.com for my shop.
Yay! And you guys can catch me at Sucka for Plantas with 2 C's. And you can catch the podcast at Boozy Botanical Podcast. We drop new episodes every Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and YouTube for videos. Be sure to check that out. And if you guys don't mind, please give us a 5-star rate and review on Apple Podcasts because it really helps us on the charts. And if you ever want to say hello, DM us always. We love that. You're also welcome. Yeah, and if you want to collab or anything, you're always welcome to email us at boozybotanicalpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. Yay.
Right, guys. Well, thank you. Yay. And on that note,
cheers.